Okay, so this is what happened yesterday during my insane adventure at COP28. So so just for routine, I get the train in the metro, and it's standing room only for most of the trip. It's about 40 minutes, about 30 minutes on the train, and and I get in, and I'd found the media room the day before, and I'd found out how to get printing done. So I had a total of 200 press releases. You can see them on the website if you go to vitasapien.org/media. And I basically just walked around. Actually, I found myself standing outside the door to the media center and handing them out. And they flew out of my hand in that process. And then later there was this huge auditorium just with rows and rows and rows of desks and just hundreds of people sitting around working on computers. So I just went and handed the press releases out to them. One guy, he said, yes, I saw this the other day. I wanted to do an interview with you. So we went outside the building, and he had like this little funky, it's like a little, what do they call those, GoPro cameras, but it had like two lenses, one on each side. So you could actually film him while it filmed me. And we stood in the sun doing this interview, and and then ironically, at the interview at the climate conference, the camera overheated because it was in the sun. Anyway, that guy later on showed up to the actual launch at 2 p.m. There were 6 journalists showed up to the launch. There was a girl from a Spanish newspaper. There was a woman from a Norwegian TV station, but she didn't have a camera. There was these 2 other guys, I don't know where they were from, and then there was this annoying young guy that just peppered me with provocative questions. So I spoke for about 10 minutes, and then I answered like a bunch of questions. It was actually really good. It was a good event. I think it was really worthwhile. The trouble is I wasn't able to capture it myself. I didn't have any support. I didn't have anybody to hold a camera. The American guy, Alex Newman, that's his name. Alex Newman from the New American. Anyway, so I went and Googled him. It's some extreme right-wing Trumpist organization that's slagging off climate negotiations. And I'm like, what the hell is he? And this guy, Alex Newman, he there's a page where somewhere on the website where he's like, I take God everywhere I go. It's like that sort of American religiosity. So I'm not sure what he made. He was actually a really decent guy. I had a nice chat with him. He was very polite and kind. And anyway, so I emailed him, and he said that he would send me the links with all of the video. So hopefully I'll get that for both interviews. Anyway, so look, once that was done, I was really, really exhausted. It's really tiring. Anyway, so I went. There's a bar here, and I just sat down and just sort of. Anyway, it took me a couple of hours to recompose myself, and then, so I've actually ticked off 2 of my 3 big ticket items here. So I've applied for Vita Sapien to get. Become an observer organisation for the COP process. I've done the launch of Vita Religion, and the next big ticket item is to find a funder for Vita Sapien. And Twiggy Forrest is in town. Twiggy Forrest from Fortescue Minerals, Australian iron ore miner, worth $43 billion, has arrived in Dubai. Dark Green Billionaire. This guy gets up there and he sticks it to the fossil fuel industry. What was he saying the other day? What was his quote? He says, if the fossil fuel industry doesn't get its shit together at these COP processes and commit to effectively the orderly euthanasia of itself, not going to happen, he says they should have their heads on pikes or spikes, heads on spikes. Now, I just happen to have some spikes in a garage. So, Twiggy, I'm your man here, right? If you need the spikes, I got them. Anyway, so he's turned up in Dubai. I don't know if he arrived on the ship, right? This is not a luxury cruise ship. This is a working ship. It's like a rig tender, but it's got it. It's called Green Pioneer, and they've done something to some of the motors, the engines, that it runs on ammonia. Now they weren't given permission to bring the vessel in running on ammonia, so it came in running on diesel. But the ship's here in the harbour, and I went onto one of those ship tracker sites and I found the berth that it was at. And so after I'd recouped myself, I jumped back on the train and headed towards Dubai Marina, took a taxi, found my way to I thought this was going to be like a security gate behind like a commercial boat place, but this is actually where all the super yachts hang out. It's just next to the Palm Jumeirah. And so I got to the security thinking that I was going to have to, I don't know, scale the fence or tell a lie. Anyway, I had my cop badge with me. So I just said to the guy, I'm with the United Nations, so I need to get on, get to the Green Pioneer. Oh, come in, so off you go. Then a guy in a buggy showed up and drove me all the way down. Anyway, so I got to the boat. And look, I've worked on a lot of ships, so I've spent a lot of time mucking around with boats, actually of that sort of size. I worked in the oil industry for 2 years, so I actually really felt like I was back in home territory. They've got a distinctive aura, ships of that nature, and they're tied up alongside. They've always got auxiliary engines running, so they hum, and they're big and imposing, and they've got lights burning all the time, and there's protocol about how you approach the vessels. And so anyway, I called over to one of the crew. He came down. I told him I wanted to talk to Andrew Forrest. He didn't know how to do that, so I persisted, and he ended up getting the first mate. I asked him to get the first mate, so the first mate came down, and and I had to cajole him, and he eventually put me on the phone to the skipper, and the skipper conceded for the first mate to give me the skipper's phone number, email address. So that's good, I got that. And then I walked down there. So this is where all the super yachts are parked, right? And there's a bar area there. So I went into the bar, as I do, and sat in the bar, had this really nice glass of red wine. What a fucking cool place, actually. What a cool place. If you're going to go to Dubai, okay, you got to go to I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, whatever. I'll put it in the comments. And I wrote the email to Twiggy. I wrote the email to Twiggy, and I sent the email to Twiggy in the bar. Got to get all this stuff done as soon as you can. So today, I wake up in my hovel, this microscopic little hotel room thing, if you'd call it that. And I have got an email back from the captain saying that I need to send an email to this other guy who's also called Andrew from Fortescue, who's probably, one of Twiggy's right-hand men. And so I sent the same email that I sent last night to this Andrew fella. And the email basically says, I've got this project I'm working on. I think it could do more for protecting the ecosystem than all the world's renewable energy put together. It's a bold claim, I'm sure, but at least it's interesting. And so I sent that to this other Andrew, and by the time I got back from having a shower this morning, he had responded saying that he would forward it on, but that he needed to have a look at the proposal and cogitate on it, but I didn't actually give him a proposal. So I'm going to go back to him. I'm going to write a one-pager that really succinctly outlines my argument as to why Vita Worldview is going to have more impact on the world than renewable energy. I might have to stretch the truth a little bit. Anyway, so that's a few tasks for today. The other thing I want to do while I'm at the COP is I want to track down and sit down and spend some time with Indigenous folk. There's an Indigenous pavilion here, and also there's a couple of tours that I'd like to do. There's a tour to the Grand Mosque in Dubai, and there's a tour also to Masdar City, which is in Abu Dhabi, an hour from here, and there's a tour also to a 1.5 gigawatt solar farm. So I'm trying to get into those. And the thing about the tours is, you get to go and see the thing, but you also get to have some propinquity and FaceTime with a whole bunch of people on the bus for some interesting conversations. Anyway, that's this is what I do at the COPs, and more soon.